Ultimus 7 is hard as fuck. Not necessarily a bad thing though. The rewards on the other hand, poof. So in this video, OhEmGee and I are discussing the difficulty of this raid, the rewards, and the progression system to really get your characters to make that big push. So if you are ready for this, let's go smash it.
ValleyFlyin.
What is up, Valley Maniacs? ValleyFlyin here. I am back. Welcome to the channel. Yes, Ultimus 7 is here, and to talk about it, I got my brother, MobileGamer OhEmGee. What is up? How are you doing?
What's up, Maniac?
Woo! How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm loving this U7, kind of. Maybe not really.
You know what? I might be in the minority with you, but I'm loving it as well. I like the difficulty. I like that it's not just this static raid that everybody can auto, and it's just like a race for energy. I like it. What are your thoughts on it, and how would you guys do it? It is definitely hard, but I don't see the difficulty as a bad thing. We will talk about the rewards and some of the progression to get further in this, and there are some issues with this, but as far as the difficulty, I'm happy. What are your feelings on this?
The way I look at, there's two things in this game that a lot of people have a problem with, is difficulty and scarcity. And there is a point where it's too difficult and too scarce, but I always often try to think, what would be the opposite of scarcity and the opposite of difficulty? If it was really easy, it'd be really boring, and it would be useless, right? And if everything was available, then the whole purpose of the game would be nothing. You know what I mean? Like this is so there's this balance, and you know, right now Ultimus 6 was like, rest in peace. I hope I never have to play you again. And now we can do Ultimus 7. And it's horrifically hard, and it scales ridiculously. We got into the 30s. I think we got almost to 40%. It does not look like we're getting to 60% anytime soon without spending cores. In fact, it's relieved a lot of pressure. You know, I was feeling like I had to really upgrade my Rocket and my Star-Lord and my Nerva, but now I don't. I just don't have to. It's like we're not getting to 60 anytime soon. It scales ridiculously. I mean, I saw some footage of someone with a 400,000 power team comprised of Ultron, Phoenix, Colossus, Minerva, and Star-Lord, and it was barely scratching some of those last nodes, and he was spending cores constantly on every node. And I was just like, wow, this is something else. This is hard. It's meant to be hard. The rewards kind of weak. They're weak. The rewards are weak, but as far as the difficulty and the challenge, I welcome it. It's okay. And because we can only get 30%, it's actually, at the end of the day, it's going to take me less time than mindlessly putting my phone on autoplay in like I was doing in U6.
I think that's interesting, because I found that it's taken me less time as well, and I'm actually having more fun with this, with random teams. It reminds me of when Ultimus 5 came out, right when the game had its global launch. It was like, oh my goodness, this is so hard, and I can't do anything. I'm getting like the 30%, just throwing random teams just like that. Same thing when Ultimus 6 came out. It was like, oh my goodness, this is so much harder than Ultimus 5. I'm never gonna, this is gonna be so hard. And you know, eventually everybody's autoing it. And someone made a good point on Reddit. This Ultimus 6 raid that we had lasted for about a year. So if this Ultimus 7 is gonna last for about a year, I don't mind the difficulty, and I'm actually kind of having fun going in there and having this challenge of the nodes. And the point that you made, it's taking less time than doing Ultimus 6, because how many runs, how many actually nodes are you able to complete on Ultimus 7?
Oh, well, I can easily budget 30 energy per node. You know what I mean? Or 20 energy per node. It's not a big deal. I mean, I will throw a team like Defenders in front of my made raid team just because I know I'm going to have extra energy. Have them do 20%. You know what I mean, and die off, and that's it. Or I'll run even a team that's not a raid team like Brotherhood, just because I know I'm gonna have extra energy. Just Brotherhood can blast through half a node, right?
Yes. They helped me. I got down to one last person on the mini boss, and I didn't have the energy to do it. And someone came in and finished that guy off. But Brotherhood, they did pretty good as well. How's your Wakandans doing? They're supposed to be the ultimate.
Oh no, I haven't tried them.
7.
I mean, I have not heard anybody rave about Wakandans yet. No. Still haven't. No. Nobody's raving about them.
I don't think so.
The optimal team that I've been seeing or been hearing about, unfortunately, it's a Phoenix, Colossus, Minerva, Rocket, and Ultron combo. It's actually not that much different than a Fear the Darkness team. You know, most of the damage is coming from Minerva and Phoenix, and then you're forced to refresh Phoenix. I mean, that's just a time money sink. It's just a money sink is all that is. But percent-based damage from both Phoenix and Minerva, I mean, my Rocket is tickling them. And, you know, it's just like, even Ultron's ultimate, you know, 100K just barely scratches some of these guys.
I see just a little sliver of red health. I'm like, oh, I'll just kill this guy with this big move. And I'm like, oh, he's not dead yet. And that was like the major move that I was doing. So it's tough.
Yeah, this is tuned for something bigger than what we have currently.
Yeah.
The game is going to move forward. And if this is supposed to last a year like U6, I can imagine that, you know, there's going to be a lot of other things that come to the game. You know, they've already said that they're testing ISO 8. I'm not in that test group. A lot of other people are, but I'm guessing that'll help. I mean, I don't see how it couldn't if it's similar to mods like in Galaxy of Heroes. We will see, but we'll see what the final form of that is like. But I'm sure that's going to be a requirement to move forward from 30 to 60 to 100. But it scales absurd. Going from 30 to 60 is more than twice as hard, and going from 60 to 100 seems probably 4 times as hard. It scales really bad.
Yeah, or really good if you're like a little masochistic, like
sure.
But one thing I see that people are complaining about on Reddit, and this one I think is a little valid, the timer, the 5-minute timer. Do you think that they should be extending this to maybe like an 8-minute timer or something like that, just to give us more time? Because these guys take a long time to heal. When we were in Fear the Darkness, there was no timer. We had an unlimited timer. Do you think that they should up this to a few minutes or so?
And that's the reason why I've been throwing in a small team before I go in, like a Defenders or Brotherhood, something that's not my primary team, or even a full X-Men team. And then my wrap-up team, which is BKT with Ultron instead of Thanos, just cleans up because it will time out. It times out. And so... you know what? I can time out with that team, you don't want to get caught off guard with Ultron not having energy.
Yeah, I mean, Ultron. Yeah, that's really bad.
Ultron has to open with minions, or else he's useless.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is like you can't count on his revive. Very rarely is he at max health when he goes into battle, and if he doesn't go into battle with max health, he's not going to revive. Yeah. And so, but not having those minions, and those minions are just fodder they're just candy for Minerva turn meter. Yeah. Really, that's what they're for. And yes, he does good damage. I mean, what's funny, we're saying that 100K hits are tickling them, but that's really what's happening. They're tickling them with 100K hits. So the game has gone into this exponential power creep, which I'm fine with. But if this is supposed to last a year, I mean, it could last a year. I could see that.
I like it. I think this is gonna last a long time, and which is why I'm not too concerned with the difficulty. The other thing that people are complaining about is the rewards. I know they said they're gonna drop them down from when it was First Strike, and the difficulty would increase, and they did both. It got a lot harder since that First Strike raid, and the rewards went down since that First Strike raid. I was expecting a drop, but not this significant. What do you think of these rewards for this Ultimus 730%? Because they're very, very similar. I mean, very, very close to that 100% at Ultimus 6.
Okay, so I'm not a fan. Yeah, we get oranges, but at 30 at 30%, it means you get an extra T4 maybe every 6 weeks. If you're able to get to 60%, which I believe it's going to be a minority of, we're both in very large guilds, right?
Yeah.
And we're only getting 30%. And the uber whales that are willing to spend tons of money are the ones that are progressing past 260, and I believe one got to 100%, and they had to spend lots of money to do that, and I'm sure that was just for the prestige of doing it first.
Yeah.
And it's challenging, but even at 60%, the orange mats, it's still one extra orange ability, T4 ability every 3 weeks. I don't know how to say that I'm highly, highly disappointed, not only in the orange mats, but the fact that there's no more blues. I guess we just don't need blue materials anymore. We're going to have to farm them. It just seems like a horrible trade-off to get one extra T4 every 6 weeks with now no more blues, no more access to blues. I don't like it. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I think they should put the blues in. The point you made earlier about, if everything's too easy and you get everything, all the resources so easy, it's not that fun. I think the difficulty I'm not that upset with, but I think the rewards are a little too low for the amount of the difficulty. I was going to say effort, but it seems like a little less effort than Ultimus 6.
Let's look at it like this. Let's assume that I have all the T4s I could possibly want in my personal account right now today. Let's just assume that. Like last week, I suddenly got 10 million T4s, and I T4'd every character in my account. Mm-hmm. The amount of characters that are coming out monthly, let's say 4 or 5, right? Mm-hmm. And the number of T4s required just to get those characters up and running is not enough that we're getting to even sustain the number of characters coming into the game.
Yeah. So
even if I had all the T4s I needed prior to this, right now, this minute, I'm going to always consistently be running a deficit of T4s because of the new characters coming in. Mm-hmm. I look at these reworks to Doctor Strange and Supernatural, and it's like, wow, I need 3 or 4 T4s on that team to be viable. I don't see it being less than 4, right? The team would get much better with at least 4 T4s, right?
Yeah.
And how much time is that? That's an entire month, right?
Months and months.
2 characters sucked away like a month's worth of progression, in my opinion, as far as T4s alone.
Yeah.
And it seems like that that we're sinking into this huge T4 deficit that I thought was going to be solved by Ultimus 7, but I guess not.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with you. If it's too much, it's not fun, but this too little. The rate that they're releasing the characters. We got 5 new characters this update. We got more T4s that are valuable now this update, and it's only slightly increased the amount of T4s that we're getting from just normal gameplay. So,
not only do we get 5 new characters, you're forgetting that there was also Coulson, right? Coulson's in there too, so that's really 6. Yeah. And then we've got a total of 4 known reworks, right? And 2 of them seem, Mordo and Doctor Strange. Looks like there are places in there that we would have never put T4s. Now it's a good idea to put T4s, like on Doctor Strange's passive, for example. Like, that looks like it could be a good T4. It's not just 5 characters; it's the reworks, and they haven't told us what's going to complete the Marauder team, what's going to complete the Asgardian team. In my opinion, that's 3 missing characters right there, and who knows how many T4s they need.
4. 4 each.
I don't know. It seems like each character has at least 1 T4 that's needed. Like especially on their passive. Like, hey, that's a good T4. I need to do that. But if it's not a character I'm going to use and not a team I'm going to use, it's just not going to get done. It's that simple.
So Casino and I were talking last night, and he brought up an interesting point that, when they go overboard with the rewards and it's like, oh, we got too much, they can't really scale it back because there's a lot of complaint. When they go really, really low with the rewards, they can always raise it. And they did that with Ultimus 6 when it first came out. The rewards were really, really bad, and they listened to the community, all the complaining, and they could up it at that point. So I'm hoping that's what they do. They made it a little low, and they're like, okay, you know what? We need to make it a little higher, and I hope there will be a rebalance sometime soon that will give a little bit more, just for some balance, just for a little more balance with these rewards,
Not putting the blues is unforgivable in my opinion, and then I believe that if they're going to continue with the rate of new characters being released, the amount of T4s that I'm going to be able to get in a month, let's say, should at least be able to keep up with most of the vital T4s and the new characters coming out, let alone the characters I need to catch up on from the past. I mean, it's just not right that we're going to be in this like never-ending deficit of T4s, and my want list just gets bigger every month with every new release of characters. They need to at least offset that.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with you. For me, you know, that the chase is part of that. You know, chasing, always wanting to get the T4, always wanting to upgrade my character. So if there's nothing to upgrade, there's no real fun of that.
No, I know.
But it's a little too low. What we have.
There's
to complete the chase.
To
complete the chase.
Yeah, there's like 30 T4s I want right now.
Yeah.
But adding 5 new characters and reworking a handful of more characters added 8 more to that list, and I'm not going to get 8 this month.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. So, you know, make it a little more, guys. Come on, Fox Next. You did it before with Ultimus 6. You did it with Deadpool. You did it with a Thanos raid. Do it with this one too. It needs it. But that leads to my next thing about progressing to go from that 30% to that 60%. Because right now you said you're not even trying because that 60%.
No, we're not even close
away.
to 60%. So I don't have to worry about progressing my account at some expedited rate. You know, we're not pushing right now. We're fine with 30%. But when it looks like it's viable for us to get 60%. Yeah, there's going to be a push. Another thing, too, is I'm not sure that I know what the best raid team is. I don't know what that is going to be. And then you're going to talk about, you know, Gear 14, the obscurity of those parts. You know, what does that mean for the next version of the Dark Dimension? I know that's where this conversation is going.
Well, not just Dark Dimension, just to progress our characters enough to at least to get to 60% and eventually 100%. A lot of it just seems like it's locked behind a lot of RNG. We can level up our characters, and that's based on gold. But everything else, the stars, that's totally based on RNG. To get from 12 to 13 and then from 13 to 14, that's RNG because you might never ever see those parts in the store. So that's locked behind RNG as well. So to progress our characters, we need a lot of RNG. And you mentioned ISO 8 coming out sometime. I don't know when that's going to be coming out, but I'm assuming there's going to be some RNG element to that as well. So, you know, is there too much RNG right now to progress in this game? That's mainly my question for you. Do you think there's too much to get to that next tier to get to finish this Ultimus 7?
Well, first of all, without talking about Red Stars, but yes, Red Stars is still atrocious in my opinion. I think it's a terrible mechanic that made this game infinitely worse. I do not like it.
Yeah.
And it's RNG based, and it's not fun. Then, secondly, you mentioned a separate issue, which was getting to 13. The reason why I don't have that much of a problem with the 13 and the 14 thing is that going up from 12 to 13 is not that big of a jump as far as the character's power level. I mean, it's a nominal amount. And really, what the benefit to going to 13 is that, you know, once you get 5 characters, and if it's the right 5 characters, you can go through Dark Dimension. And so the way that I see Gear 14 is that it's going to be the gateway to whatever that next character is, you know, whatever it is, Red Skull, Doctor Doom, who knows what. But for me, I'm not willing to refresh cores in the shop and to get those pieces that cost 50,000 gold and the 72,000 gold ones until somebody else does it and spends a lot of money and shows me what 5 characters are needed to finish the Dark Dimension, and I have to see the value of how good that character is. And once that is a known thing, then I will start doing it, and I'll make an analysis. Is it worth refreshing the shop, or are they going to introduce a new way of getting those pieces? But right now, it's just I don't even care about moving my characters up to 14. It's what's the point? Because what if I'm upgrading the wrong character?
Yeah, very true. There's a lot of resources, a lot of time invested for nothing. That's not going to benefit you to get whatever the Fear of the Darkness character is. So, yeah. So that's kind of the state of the game, guys. I hope it gets better. I hope the rewards get better for Ultimus 7. I don't mind the difficulty, and
I don't care about the difficulty. I'm actually okay with it.
I enjoy the difficulty actually, but the rewards need to be increased, and Yeah, the RNG is, I don't know. I'm not too big of a fan of the RNG, but like you said, the gear doesn't raise it that much. So I guess maybe that part isn't as bad. But the red stars and potentially ISO 8, I don't know. So any last thoughts?
I'm super excited about Spider-Gwen coming to the game.
Yes, I want her too. And tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
On Grindr.
Cool. So search for him. OhEmGee MobileGamer on Grindr, guys. That's where you could get in touch with him. And you can get in touch with me on this channel. Leave a comment and subscribe. Share this with all your friends. Ring that notification bell. There's a sale going on at TeePublic right now if you want your Valley merch. I know you got some Valley merch hidden away somewhere.
Oh, it's in my mailbox. I gotta go get that tonight right now.
Thank you for joining me again. I will see you guys next time. Check me out on social media, guys. Whole fist bump. ValleyFlyin out. Get a Spider-Man dance in here. Let's try this again. Yeah, baby.